tags is going to be most of the former Games Gear roster. Flares up top, Thinkard in the jungle, Yusui in the mid, Wiz Fusion in the AD carry, and making the move over to support Keith McBride.
I like how you put that. Narband's incoming already. Okay. That is, maybe they're watching the previous games. So Zillion also taken away. And what else here does XDG ban away to keep LoLPro, or should we say Gamester Gear again, off of this time?
It's going to be tough to say. Zed ban coming out. And, I mean, these are two really strong lineups. These two lineups have been at the top of the challenger scene for a long time now, and they've gone through some roster swaps. They've picked up some players. They've dropped some players. Gamester Gear had a big run through the group stages, and then they got picked up by LoLPro, added Keith McBride and Wiz Fusion, and have a promising look towards the expansion tournament. So we'll have to see how that roster is doing. And then the leftovers from the old Frank Fang, Baby Zeus and Latman joining the old XDG boys along with Daydreaming. So we'll have to see
Interesting to see a couple of former Coast members too on opposite teams.
Yeah, that's especially the bottom lane going against each other. They were the dynamic Coast bot lane duo. Now they're facing each other in the challenger scene. So Rumble, Orianna, and Rise going to be the three bands that are going to round this one out.
So with that all said and done, now we see the first picks coming up, and after that last couple sets, it'll be interesting to see if we have any interesting champ choices right now. Blitzcrank being hovered. I mean, that wouldn't necessarily be the most optimal first pick with so many weapons left on the table. But again, this is the first competitive play we've really seen on the current patch.
Yeah, and this Blitzcrank, it's being hovered over pretty aggressively, I'd say. That's a very long hover over. And unless he's going to change this at the very last second, and he is going to give the Syndra over to Baby Zeus, that has been a pretty dangerous pick for the opposing team. Baby Zeus is a monster on that Syndra, or has been thus far in the Black Monster Cup.
Oh yeah, and what they answer with would really determine a lot here. It's the first time we've really seen in a while that we've seen a mid laner being really optimized first pick wise. So you know, this is a very, very different patch from the one that we've seen played at Worlds. So the priorities are a little bit different. These teams, of course, again, some of them are newer, but some of them have been together under different banners. Janna now being hovered over, and we'll see if Keith McBride does make use of that in his debut, or if they decide to swap it over. There's so many options on the table still for LoLPro.
And Janna has been a very highly contested first pick on purple side. At least in the past series, it was first picked twice on purple side, and I believe it was picked on purple side all 3 times. So probably going to see the Nami pick coming over for the other side, and this is going to be the first time we've seen Lee Sin as well. And Thinkard,
he hasn't been banned either. Well, a few times. Yeah,
I think once or twice in the last series he was banned, but Thinkard is an exceptional Lee Sin player, and there's actually a lot of junglers who especially in the challenger scene, who won't play Lee Sin, and there's actually junglers in the LCS who won't even play Lee Sin. Like I Will Dominate from Curse doesn't just is pretty adamant about not playing Lee Sin in competitive play. So we'll have to see what Thinkard can pull off with that champion. Looking very stoic with his new icon.
Yeah, new Lee Sin icon's a little bit interesting. If I look away out of the corner of my eye, it kind of looks like a thumb.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Like a really intense thumb.
A thumb with a red band-aid. That is exactly what he looks like.
Yep. Kha'Zix now for Smithy, and we have Latman gonna go over Lucian too. That's another pick that he's been very, very comfortable on. So far, really, the pickman phase hasn't really been denying too much of these comfort champions for either team, and we can kind of see the makings of these compositions for both of them here. I think XDG is, I don't want to say they're getting the better of it, but they're definitely picking things that they have been incredibly successful on in the past. At least the individual players have been.
Yep. And LoLPro can go a lot of ways with their last picks here. Their first 2 picks are very, very flexible. And Fizz has been rising in popularity quite a bit mostly in solo queue, but we saw him play it a little bit in the World Championships, and he hasn't undergone any changes since then. So there's no reason why he wouldn't be popular now. He can do well against Syndra in the mid lane just because the Playful Trickster can block out a lot of the damage from Syndra. And since she lacks an innate escape, once you land that Shark on her, only a flash is going to get her away. And the Corki, so this is a pretty strong mid-game team now. We have the Fizz, we see the Corki. So this, I think, is going to be a little bit more of an explosive series than we saw with Zenith and Cognitive in the last one earlier today.
Corki Janna, I mean, that's a combination that's been popular for throughout the seasons of League of Legends, and it always seems to come back regardless of how much you change either of the champions. So another popular combination, although be it a little bit newer, is the Steel bot lane, which will get finished out here for XDG, as well as the Mundo being hovered. And that wouldn't be a terrible blind lock-in, but there are a lot of other options available for Hate, so could just be a blind call there.
Yeah, there's some top laners that are banned. There's actually quite a few top laners that are banned. Gnar, Rumble, and Ryze are all banned. So if you look at the remaining table of top laners left, there's Maokai, Aurelia, and really, if you go beyond that, it's you're basically dropping down a tier. So Mundo is probably amongst those higher ones, but I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't go with a Maokai pick in this situation. But I guess they just like to rely a little bit more on that Mundo, especially with the way their team comp works. But I don't know. It just seems like they're lacking a little bit of follow-up on a Syndra stun with that Mundo. But opting for a arguably bigger front line in the later game, but lesser follow-up on Syndra's ability to pick off targets.
Now, counting down the last seconds of the champ selection, we see the Poppy hover, and this isn't completely unheard of. We did see Poppy played into the promotion tournament over in Europe earlier, and I don't think it'll be Rammus either. But there always are a couple options. Looks like thinking about the Nasus choice, but there are a lot of other higher end picks available, as you mentioned. So ends up being Riven.
Okay, well, Flares is definitely known for his Riven. Back in the group stages, we saw him absolutely dominate a game with Riven, and Riven is one of those champions that if she gets ahead up top, she can really start to snowball a game. She's very difficult to play later on. It's very hard to maneuver a Riven throughout team fights, just because if she gets caught out in the wrong spot, if she gets CC'd at the right time, she can just go down without making an impact. And I'm really excited to see Riven players are always flashy. There's always those solo queue Riven highlights that you see from a lot of streamers, and so it's interesting to see the transition from playing that in solo queue and bringing it into competitive play. And Flares is one of those guys that does it relatively frequently. It's one of those pocket picks that you can bring out when a lot of other top laners are banned, and especially when you're going up against a passive top laner like Mundo, where you can really try and punish him early on.
Yeah, this entire comp, it seems, for LoLPro is kind of built around that early snowball effect, and if they can pull it off, I mean, every one of these lanes has the potential to just really take the game straight to XDG, and they do have a lot of holdout ability. I mean, once Mundo hits 6, it's going to be really difficult to solo kill him, let alone try to find that when he's just front tanking everything. But really, what's the early damage here for XDG? It's pretty much Lapman and maybe Xmithy. I mean, Baby Zeus will get rolling at a certain point, but I think if they aren't able to, stem the early game aggression that LoLPro really should be throwing at them with this composition, it might be their game to take.
Yeah, if you look historically at the challenger scene, the teams in the challenger scene that are most successful are the teams that have threats all across the map. A lot of the challenger teams that make it from challenger scene to LCS have like top laners that can be threats and junglers that can be threats. Whereas you look at the challenger teams that are mildly successful but don't really make it are the teams that play a lot of safer junglers and a lot of safer top laners. And I think Flares and ThinkGuard are a great combination for those for that type of playmaking and the ability to make a difference from those two positions that are normally used as sort of those tank and safe filler picks from a lot of other teams. So it's This should be, like I said though, it should be quite a bit more of an explosive series. I'm curious to see what this XDG roster can do. A lot of people have been questioning what roster they were going to field for the remainder of this tournament. And of course the LoLPro guys, which everybody has high expectations for them, so should be good.
So with that delay counting down to the 1 minute, we're going to be taking a quick break. And when we come back, these two teams will meet head-to-head on the Rift. One will be moving on forward. The other one will be going home. We will have a best-of-3 match to decide it. Is it going to be LoLPro or is it going to be XDG Gaming? New rosters, old team names. Guys, we'll be right back after this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Summoner's Rift once again. The Black Monster Cup Fall 2014 playoffs are underway. Team LoLPro taking on XGG Gaming. These are old team names. We've seen these brands all around, but these are some very new rosters too as well. So fleshing out our lineup, it's Hate in the top side for XGG, Smithy in the jungle, Baby Zeus in the mid lane, Lapman the AD carry, Daydream in support. We've seen them before, but they're all on the same team now.
Yep, and rounding out the lineup for LoLPro, this is going to be the remains of the old Gamester Gear roster that had a little bit of an explosive start to the Black Monster Cup. It's going to be Flares up top, Think Card in the jungle, Yusui in mid, Wiz Fusion at AD carry, and Keith McBreve rounding it off as support. We do have a little bit of a pause coming out, and we'll see what's going on. And it's actually resuming right as I say it, so how convenient. They gave us time to go over the rosters, and now we're getting underway.
So here we go. Teams coming out the gates right now, making moves in the general direction of the mid lane, and so far they're just moving as 5. I don't know if you can expect a level 1 out of this one, though. Going to be hard to call. It looks like they're going to try to play it a little bit safer for now, scattering around the jungle to try and make sure they cover any and all paths that the enemy might try for an early invade.
Yeah, definitely. And these teams, they've been a team longer, I think, than the rosters that we saw earlier, so their level 1s are probably going to be a little bit more crisp, especially since they have a little bit larger organizations backing them. They have more resources to look at analysts, which really focus a lot on level 1s, and I'm not trying to take away anything from the last teams, but Zenith really outclassed Cognitive in the level 1s last game, and I'm looking for it to be a little more even for these lineups.
Alright, so with the 4 members sitting in that one brush too, nobody really wanting to check that one over on the side of LoLPro, are they? Here's Yusui getting a little dangerously close for comfort, but Wiz Fusion's going to be able to bait that one out. They get a catch and a keep it brief. This could be first blood. And that's not the way that you want to make your debut as a support player. Down goes that Janna. And that is 1 kill picked up now for Lapman.
Yep. Keith McBrief got Keith McBriefed.
Ouch.
Yep. And
were you sitting on that one for a while?
Yep. Especially since it's Corporate Mundo.
Yeah.
I'm a
that one went like like over my head by about 9 degrees.
Yeah, I see Freak on the weekends, and we've been training for a while.
Just like
So,
share puns.
yeah. I'm only like a green belt pun master. Freak is like
Freak's like he's like a black belt, but he's got like 3 of those like stripes on him. And he like doubles up in like Muay Thai.
he's like a 15th degree pun black belt.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Thinkard making moves towards this bottom red side though, and as it was sort of given up on after that first blood attempt, or rather invade attempt that was first blooded, Thinkard will come in for round number 2 and get the red steal off. However, Hate's actually doing a little bit of deep warding of his own as the lane swap was commenced here.
Yeah, a little bit of an awkward lane swap here. Just for the fact that both teams were a little bit out of position after that level 1. So finally caught up though, and like you said, Hate gonna actually just go over here and wait by this red buff, and this is sort of similar. Here we go. The textbook gank, and Baby Zeus is...
Well, where the last games weren't really super full of action, this one's changing really fast. Baby Zeus is going to go down. That's going to be another pick up over there. And now Hate's in a little bit of trouble. Flair's actually going to make Hate force his flash away, and Xmithy having to burn his as well. Those double buffs are looking tasty, and they want to pick him right up. Flair's, he goes down, but they will be able to take Xmithy. Oh, no, they won't. He goes down finally to Thinkard's red buff tick, and Keith McBrief having to flash over the wall into the red pit, but Lapman is on the chase right now, and here comes Thinkard to try and answer on back. Playful Trickster Useful getting dangerously close. Lapman, he's in trouble, burning away, and I don't even know what's happening at this point. Daydreaming now, caught in a world of hurt as Hate tries to throw the briefcase at Thinkard, but he's not in it for business. That's a double kill. 3 on the table now for Thinkard, and all that early aggression results in a 4-for-1, or rather a 3-for-1. No, it is a 4-for-1.
Yep.
I don't even know how to count anymore, man.
Yeah, that was pretty refreshing after watching such a passive game
The
for
polar
the first 3
opposites.
games. Exactly. Both these teams not afraid to make those early aggressive plays, and Thinkard comes out of that way on top with 3 kills. He's on a killing spree already thus
Not
far
even
in
4
this
minutes
game.
in.
Yeah, not even
He's got
4 minutes
double
in.
buffs reset. It was a little bit out there for both teams, but yeah, in the end, LoLPro managing to make that big play. And, you know, it does show how well they've been playing together as a team overall, despite being first blooded. You know, I mean, that's a mistake you can make against the Thresh anytime, but what a series of plays resulting in those kills.
Yeah, that's sort of that textbook lane swap coming to mid lane for a gank. We've seen it happen so many times, that exact pathing for teams in that type of situation. And it looked like Baby Zeus just got caught way off guard. He blew his flash really early, and I mean, he flashed towards his team, and they were able to make at least a decent situation out for it. They traded 1 kill for it, but at the same time, it's a little bit rough. And this gank squad by LoLPro is just roaming across the map.
Oh, Thinkard, he's going to go straight for Hate, but Wiz Fusion, by the way, has just been very happily farming this away, while Latman also tries to freeze up in the top, but there's just a slight advantage for the Corki. However, it looks like they're mobilizing for Dragon here. There are enough wards to be able to see this one out. I'll leave it alone for now.
Yep. And Thinkard backing for the first time. He's got 1,500 gold right now from that, so he's going to be able to pick up Spirit Stone and double longsword right off the bat, and stock full of wards here. So this is going to be a really great start for Thinkard on that Lee Sin. That's I think that was a little bit of the explosiveness that we were missing from those last games, just having a jungler that's not afraid to gank and go early aggressive and have a lot of success with it.
Well, we're seeing a lot more variety in it as well, and whereas the junglers were kind of babysitting the mid lanes for a while during the last series, this has been much more of a find whatever you can, wherever you can mentality, and it's not just opportunistic, but there's forethought behind it as well. And here we go. There's the collapse onto this dragon now. All 5 members in the area. Xmithy is here as well, and he could get the steal off, but they're going to go for it. They do start this one off, or rather just try to pull it out of the pit. And here we go. 5 members of LoLPro. It's going to be sided out by Baby Zeus and Xmithy. Here comes Daydreaming around the side as well. This could be yet another fight. Keith McBrief zoning, actually, and taking a lot of damage as well. But he does dodge away from the hook, and that is going to be the dragon picked up 6 minutes, 15 seconds. And Xmithy comes in a little bit late to the party.
Yeah.
No harm, no foul.
Yep. And, I mean, all at the same time, Latman just getting that farm, but he's not pulling ahead of Wiz Fusion at all, and Wiz Fusion's got a wave down here, and he's not getting any damage on the top turret, so XDG is sort of just conceding a lot of this. And wow, Flares, as soon as he gets back to lane against Labman, just goes super aggressive, and he's going to pay for it. Doesn't come out on top of that trade, but I mean, he is 2 levels down, so 3 levels down now. I wouldn't expect him to really win out on any trades after heading up there to that top lane.
Yep. Was able to scare Latman just a little bit, though, and that might have accomplished what they were looking for, forcing him to back off. And now Flares should be able to pick up a bit more solo experience. The opps instead to back away as he's a bit low. And meanwhile, in the mid lane, Yusui and Baby Zeus just kind of continue to play like really nothing's happened this entire game.
Yeah, and Baby Zeus doing what Syndra does, bullying out Fizz, bullying out Yusui on that Fizz. I mean, that's going to happen unless you are able to go super aggressive early on and force the Syndra into a passive position as the Fizz. You're most likely going to get bullied out. So that lane probably going exactly as he would have expected to go. He did manage to pick up a couple assists in that level 1 skirmish, but as did Baby Zeus, so should be a pretty even mid lane at about this point.
So, that being said, again, the gold lead still, of course, in favor of LoLPro as the lane does reset to a little bit of normalcy. Hate making a move up to the top lane, but Flares forcing him to back off as he does get his full combo off. ThinkCard back to the jungle, but he has pressure on his side for now. Meanwhile, Smithy looking to make moves where he can, but he's spotted everywhere in that jungle. Really good warding here for LoLPro.
Yep, and that's what you get with having an early lead. A lot of teams like to think, oh, let's get their lead so we can get items, but as long as you stay even on items but have the upper hand in vision, that's going to win you more games. And you saw when ThinkCard got those kills early game, he went immediately for a pink ward and 3 sight wards, I believe. And oh wow, this is really bold by him, and he's throwing so low. Wow.
Oh, too many turret shots there. That's what happens when you get a Mundo Cleaver in your face under tower range.
Yeah, and we saw in ThinkCard's a little bit of time when he subbed in for CLG during those couple weeks where the CLG team headed over to Korea to try and make an attempt. Oh, pause that thought.
Brief. Here we go. Latman, he doesn't quite have the damage, but level 7 will be enough to maybe get a little bit of poke out there. Wiz Fusion is also level 7 though, and the discrepancies, this is what happens when you get the lane swap extended situation, and it's been a little bit troubling for both of those squishier champions. Daydreamin', however, is getting the better of it.
Yep. And I mean, both these champions spike pretty hard in mid game as well, so I mean, right now it's pretty even. You can see that LoLPro has a little bit of advantage, but that's mostly just from the dragon. They got that little bit of skirmish, but that hasn't really gained them much except for that vision control, which allowed them to get that dragon, but not really pulling too far ahead in these lanes if not for just falling behind a little bit in these lanes.
Well, Latman and Daydream have been able to push this one forward a little bit further, but you got to be careful of that Corki AoE, and there it is. Phosphorus Bomb clearing away quite a lot of it, but they find Smithy in the jungle, getting exhaust off instantaneously. Yusui looking to make a move there as well, but they will be able to disengage for this one. Smithy going in for round 2. Keith is actually taken pretty low by the poke, and Latman with the piercing lights going to force the Janus shield out, and they will stop this one. This time the disengage isn't nearly as quiet as we would have expected, as Yusui came in for a little bit of action, but he couldn't find anything, so instead he'll go right back to lane.
Keeping Brief has been taking quite a bit of punishment so far this game, especially in the laning phase, and of course gave up that first blood as well. So, but still keeping his team in the game, keeping Wiz Fusion in the game, doing well down that bot lane. They've been about 10 CS behind for a while now. Latman did have a little bit of advantage because of how much free farm he was able to get up in that top lane during that lane swap, and Wiz Fusion was going towards that dragon, but probably not as much as he should, and that's where we see that gold difference here. Neither team trying to make a move now. ThinkCard's been pretty quiet since he decided to go for that gank up in the top lane and gave up almost his life hitting that cleaver under that turret.
Oh yeah. Now Yusui has not really been particularly good at dodging these stuns, but as I say it, he playful tricksters right back over to Baby Zeus, turning around, and he can't. Keep it brief. He's low. He gets the shield out. There's an exhaust onto Wiz Fusion, and he's face tanking the culling. Keith is going to live for now, but he cannot take another hook like that.
And Wiz Fusion, these little skirmishes has not been doing that well, landing these rockets. I've seen a couple times down this bot lane we've been looking at trades where he's been missing a couple of crucial big ones for those missiles.
Well, it's a little bit hard to land that up against a carry that can dash like Lucian, especially Latman's mechanics too. But nonetheless, you're right. I mean, it's difficult. He's been relying very much on phosphorus bombs to be able to get the job done. Now, up in the top lane, Flares continues to bully Hate, but the longer this game goes, the more difficult that becomes. The Mundo is just impossible to kill once he's got his ultimate frequently usable.
Yeah, and especially he's already got those ninja tabbies. You can tell just how passive he's playing, and that's what you need to do as Mundo. You know that you're going to get to that point where he's just going to be mostly unkillable by the Riven. He just has to make sure that he gets there without falling too far behind. And so far he's been managing to do pretty much that. I mean, he's 20 CS behind, but you can pretty much come to expect that, especially since it seemed like LoLPro came out on top of that lane swap by just a bit.
Oh, wow, here we go. Fight starting bot lane. Double teleports coming in right now. Latman daydreaming, running for. Teleport's not going to be canceled, and Hate trying to slow down Flares, but he might just go down for his trouble. There's the Monsoon. There's Flares. Oh, my goodness, he picks him up on the wind slash. Latman going down, and Hate now. He's going to fall at the 4-man. It doesn't even matter if ThinkCard's hooked into this one. And Flares is still going for it. He wants himself a double, and he should be able to get it. One more hit. That tower's doing work, but Flares still picks it up, and he goes down eventually to daydreaming 10%. 90 over to the tower, but nonetheless, they'll be able to pick up the dragon off the back of that.
Yeah, basically trades his life to just give one extra added layer of security to this dragon. Taking out the support takes out a lot of potential to gain vision back over this, and that's just great plays right there by LoLPro in succession. What a beautiful flash in there by Flares to get the last proc of the Q on to hold Latman in place, not allowing him to flash to be able to get that guaranteed wind slash off before he can make his escape. So that's just great play by Flares. And
well, a lot extra gold to the Riven too.
Yeah, exactly. 3 kills now. And 4 for ThinkCard.
McSmithy's in trouble. Here comes ThinkCard. Oh my goodness, he gets the shutdown gold onto Think, but it doesn't even matter as they trade jungle for jungle. Yusui might be in a little bit of trouble. He will Playful Trickster over that wall and get out of town right quick. But again, the lead is now decidedly in favor of LoLPro.
Yeah, not the best trade for LoLPro because they do give up that big shutdown gold from ThinkCard. But now it resets. He can have a cleared mind knowing that he's worth just as much gold as everybody else.
And no added pressure.
Yeah.
Support fight. Uh-oh. Hate is in a little bit of trouble as well. Flares using that bully potentially has from the Tiamat to be able to do a bit more damage. That tower dangerously low on the bot side now for Wiz Fusion as he is able to try and stave it off, but that finally will fall down to the minions. Not really any point in saving it there. But Daydreaming and Latman will be able to get away with all of that. A lot of vision being invested in this bot side too by LoLPro as well, so even without the dragon there, they should be able to maintain a lot of sight for a while.
And also Wiz Fusion about to hit that Trinity Force breakpoint here. And that's going to be a huge swing in that lane. You're seeing just how much damage, just how much burst damage he can put on the Latman now. Just imagine what it is when he gets that Trinity Force. And Hate.
Uh-oh, Flares. He's forcing the ultimate away here, but I don't think he can bait Hate into doing a whole lot of damage. Or maybe he can. ThinkCard Smithy, they're going to find him in the bush, and it's the jungle for jungle and a top for top. Who's going to come out? But it's Latman coming in.
5 people!
And that's going to be Flares going down. They catch ThinkCard. They're going to get a 2 for none. It's a double kill over to Latman.
A fantastic 5-man collapse here, and they read Flares like a book. They knew he was baiting there, just the way by he was moving, and a great call to send them all up. They give up that turret, but they gain 2 kills in the process and don't lose anything. And of course, they send the blue buff over to, I think, Latman, or the red buff, I mean, to, I think, Latman, so that's going to be a big deal. And they should be able to get this top lane turret as well. With Fusion, though, banging on this bot one.
Yep, so they were able to get a little bit more damage out on that one. However, still a bit of a mistake there by LoLPro trying to grab a couple more kills and getting a little greedy just to pick off a Mundo. So as a result of that, it looks like right now that XDG is a little bit more back into this game.
Yeah, those 2 kills are really going to help them, and that's a great call by them to realize that they can't just sit back and let LoLPro maneuver across this map like they've been doing, and they make the call to go for a 5-man collapse onto a top lane where they just lost the top and turret. And so, like you said, I mean, they take the mid turret as well, so this puts XDG back into this game. They're only 1.5k gold down now, which is, I'd say, a bit better than the 3k gold that they were down a couple minutes ago. Still,
they've been able to close the gap.
Still, they can't be overconfident with what just happened to them, because like I said, those big spikes coming in, those big mid-game spikes coming in, Mundo's still not tanky enough to be able to deal with flares consistently, and of course that Trinity Force from Wiz Fusion is going to be pretty big.
Yeah, with the power spikes coming out now, that is definitely the time for LoLPro to start making moves. Looks like they will be trying to collapse around this mid side after getting a few more deep wards out in the jungle. Daydreaming, able to clear that newly placed one away. Nonetheless, they still have quite a few hanging around that side, protecting Yusui as he does make a little bit of a split push there as well. So, at the moment, it looks like XDG has been able to kind of force this away just by making a show of force in the mid, but how long do you think it is until LoLPro decides that they can just go for the dive? They've been unafraid to do this before.
Well, if you think about it, they're actually going to have to. I mean, their late game is not that good. Corki falls off a little bit. Lee Sin falls off quite a bit. Riven can fall off quite a bit if she's not really far ahead. Even Fizz, late game, when players start to build a little bit of magic resist, his damage just starts to become a little bit lackluster. He relies a lot on that initial burst, that initiation, but if they don't have the perfect follow-up in the late game, their team's going to fall off a lot. They have to make stuff happen in this mid-game, because that Mundo late game, that Lucian and the Xerath and the follow-up that they have on that Syndra stun could be pretty devastating for them. So I can imagine that ThinkGuard's going to want to try and make some plays to put LoLPro a little bit more in the lead.
And now Flares is finding it harder and harder to really deal with this Mundo solo in lane. He's actually starting a little bit of a disadvantage, but he's going in for it anyways. That's quite a lot of damage, but he realized he doesn't quite have enough, and he has to bail out here. Now he might be in a bit of trouble, forcing himself to use a summoner. Maybe not quite. He does manage to narrowly avoid a lot of the Lucian AoE as Latman just gets dodged out. Fancy footwork.
Yeah,
Flares will get away.
Definitely. I talked about it a little bit in the last series, how Rumble is one of my favorite champions to watch. Riven, I'd say, is a pretty close second, just because of the fancy plays that she can pull off now, especially with that third proc of Q more reliably going over walls. You can make some pretty crazy escapes with Riven, and so really fun to watch a lot of times, especially some of the burst combos that she can pull off. It's a champion that takes a lot of finesse, especially to play on a competitive level.
Definitely more of a specialized pick when you get into it, and
Yep.
we have seen Flares play on it quite effectively in the past, so if you can get a reputation for that being a comfort champion, it's definitely something to be feared. Speaking of fear, Dragon is grabbed. Daydreaming looking to try and zone away LoLPro. However, this is going to be started up, and this is going to be the Dragon Dance at 19.5 minutes in. Keith McBrief providing a little bit of zone of his own, but here comes Hate and Daydreaming, and they are going to force LoLPro to back away and think twice about this one. Everybody's in the area. Flare's coming around, seeing if he can't get a flank off. They will be pinging out for Latman, and Flares is going to go for the one-on-one. Latman realizes this is happening. Not too scared of it. He gets caught. Flares is in a little bit of trouble here. Exhaust is down. He's low, getting away. Keith McBrief just zoning with his ultimate. However, it won't be enough to save his own life. Baby Zeus flashing and ulting himself to pick that one up. Meanwhile, Dragon was finished, but they did lose Keith McBrief for it. Hashtag worth? I don't know. Here we go. Tower being fired down by XDG. Will they be able to pick this one up? It looks like yes. ThinkGuard not able to get there in time.
Yeah, Dragon for turret and a kill. Yep. So I'd say XDG comes out on top of that one. And the vision control was a little bit lacking from LoLPro around that Dragon pit. You saw they had to use the scrying orb just to see where XDG was, and Flare was caught on the wrong side, and there was just no way he could efficiently get to the other side to join the rest of his team.
Keith, he's going to check into the barrage. Oh no, he's caught on a line and they didn't even need it. Latman gets himself a killing spree, and they'll go up straight towards the top. You can't face check a Bush's Janna. That's just not happening. And with a 5v4 right now, it's going to be a little bit of trouble for LoLPro to try and save this tower. They're not even going to try. Yusui makes a little bit of a feint of it. He gets zoned out by that hook, but it doesn't even matter as they go ahead and give that one up. Maybe looking for a follow-up fight, but this is so very dangerous without a reliable Janna follow-up.
Yeah, and just pick after pick, and Keith McBrief seems to be on the forefront of these picks for XTG. And I mean, I said it before, this team comp is just going to start getting worse and worse as this game progresses, and you can already see that they're finding it hard to open up initiations and look for initiations. They're going to rely on ThinkHard making a fancy play, finding a pick maybe with the Chum the Waters, but it's going to be tough for them in the later stages of the game. Whoa, Flares!
Oh, Flares going all in on Daydreaming now, but there's way too many members for him to deal with right now. He does tank up the Syndra ultimate, staying alive just barely. They will sight this one out, and I don't know if they'll be able to take this. The heal, the lifesteal, and the shield's providing quite a lot there, and they will be able to finish off the red buff with a wind slash. Nonetheless, the chase is on. And they are just going so all in for this one. Daydreaming, he's going to go down with a Chum the Waters, finally falling down to the big one. Perfectly timed by WizFusion. And it's a 5v4 this time in favor of LoLPro. And they will kite away. Good placement of those briefcases by Hate.
Yeah, not really a big deal for that one, though. Just be able to pick up the kill on the support. Do have an opportunity to push up here. Daydream has been pretty instrumental in the picks that they've gotten thus far in this game. And this is what LoLPro has been looking for, an opportunity to push these turrets. And it's going to start to get pretty hard for them to take down Hate. He's starting to get pretty tanky.
Well, they're doing the best they can to just chunk his health bar down, trusting their minions up in the top lane to keep pushing that one back. But Keith might be in a little bit of trouble. Down he goes. Lapman picking up yet another one. It seems to be all of his kills are on the back of that one. Hate's going to get Chum the Waters. The Shark lands not even enough to actually take him down as he gets his ultimate out as well. And XDG looking for a little advantage anywhere they can. They'll roll on through the jungle, not going up to the top side, try and force that wave. Instead, they're looking towards the Baron.
Still a little bit early, 23 minutes into the game. Baron is quite a bit dangerous. They have a decent Baron team with Kha'Zix and the Cleavers from Mundo, but it looks like they're just going to wait in this bush. It worked well for them last time. This is a Keith McBrief trap.
You know what I think, Kazumo?
What do you think?
It's baiting time.
It is.
Uh-oh. ThinkHard. Oh, that was a key ward there.
That was a
Them being taken down.
That was a really dangerous, relentless pursuit over the wall from Latman. I'm not sure if you realized that the only person they had vision of was Flares on the map. If he jumped over the wall right into a Fizz and a Lee Sin, he could have died before they could have reacted with that relentless pursuit being down. But they are going to start up this Baron.
2 members to zone, 3 to try and take it. Hate's going to get his ult off a little bit later than he really needed to. However, this Baron could go down. They don't have quite enough damage to deal with it, but they are providing the zone. And here comes Xmithy to be able to secure this one up. And this should go in the pockets of XDG, and it does. So 9-9 for kills, slight gold advantage, going to be extended a little bit by Flares pushing as well as this other tower. So 2 towers for Baron. They're backing in mass. Does LoLPro have enough damage to be able to take down this 1 inhibitor turret? They're going to go for 2 if they can. A little bit greedy on their parts, but they may just be able to pull it off. The stun's not going to land, and they move everybody down to the bot side. This could be trouble, though. This tower is low. Playful Trickster away. Yusui, he's not going to have the ability to get out of town. Well, he's going to burn his flash, and Lapman Chum the Waters on in. But Daydreamin' is going to be able to lead this charge up, get slowed down by the Q, and they might just be able to disengage this one. So a very, very greedy 3-tower push ends here with no deaths for LoLPro and a Baron trade. Hard to call that one. I don't even know who came out ahead, really.
I'm going to go ahead and say that LoLPro came on top of this one because that inhibitor shell can be pretty hard to break with this team. I mean, I said their initiation is a little bit tough to land, and being able to open up that bottom side inhibitor could open up a lot of opportunities for them to capitalize on one team fight, for allow Flares to do a little bit of split pushing. And
speaking of splitting,
yeah,
it was mid lane right now. WizFusion is able to just solo out this turret while the remainder of the opposing team here is pushing on forward. Oh my goodness, Smithy nearly goes down because Flares was just a time bomb in the middle of it all.
Oh, here
That's
comes
going to force
Yusui.
it back. They're hesitating. WizFusion can take this tower down. And yeah, Yusui's coming around the side as well. Can he stop the ports? He might be able to do it. Chum the Waters on Daydreamin'. He has to stop his back. So does Hate. Oh my goodness, this is just going haywire right now. And they get a teleport out. Flares coming in on this inhibitor. They should be able to take it down. Xmithy can't defend 1v2. They're going to go for 2 inhibitors. And in all of the confusion, LoLPro is taking the lead. They've stopped the back successfully. The Dragon can't even be contested. Yeah. LoLPro is able to take this one. So far, so well. 2 inhibitors completely free. Can they get out, though? That's the real question.
What a move. And they pick off the Dragon on the back of this one. Even if they lose a member or two from this, the Baron has already been taken by XDG,
Yep,
so there's not much more that they can give up. The whole team is on this side of the map. Even if they're just going to sacrifice flares from this one. He almost makes it out alive. And, they get the blue buff as well. Wow.
Oh, wow. And the enemy team has Baron buff?
What a call.
This is exactly how to play that.
Yep. What a call.
So just like that, they're up about 4,000 in the lead. And Daydreamin' didn't actually see Keith McBrief around the side, so he wasn't able to stop that particular back. But in a pretty big strategical swing, 2 inhibitors, and all they lost was a Riven, as well as gaining a Dragon and a blue buff.
That's a really bold move to make that call, and they really committed to it. A lot of teams would have panicked in that situation and sent Wiz Fusion back, but Flares and ThinkHard were confident enough in their ability to at least hold them off from that inhibitor turret long enough to give them the edge, and everything just worked out for LoLPro in that situation, and they reacted perfectly to XDG taking that Baron buff. They conceded it and took 3 turrets, 2 inhibitors, and a Dragon. Oh, and a stolen blue buff for the cherry on top at the end of that one. So LoLPro still keeping their lead even after giving up the Baron.
Calling XDG's bluff really paying off for them, and they are the ones with the map control. Despite not having the Baron, they are up in the lead by about 5,000 gold. And XDG just wondering what happened, scratching their heads at this one, and now looks like LoLPro is starting to push down 3 members deep into this top side, bringing ThinkHard in around as well. And they're really playing by the later game team despite not having that scaling in their favor.
Yeah, 2 inhibitors is really hard to defend. It's just...
Could be 3 in a minute the way this is going.
Yeah, 1 inhibitor, I mean, that's okay. Especially if you have Baron buff. You can still put pressure on the map with 1 inhibitor down. You just have to have good wave control. But 2, you're pretty much dedicating at least 1, most of the time 2 players full time to being able to deal with these waves. Because if you let those super minions get into your base, that buff that the super minions give start to buff each other, and it makes it even harder to clear those waves, and it makes those waves even stronger. So that's why you need those dedicated lane pushers with 2 inhibitors down, or you could find yourself in a situation where you're just getting overwhelmed. So you sort of have to concede every other objective besides what you can barely scrounge up to defend the rest of your base.
And everyone from LoLPro looking to try and end this one if they possibly can.
Look
The
at
waves
this
coming
positioning.
in. A lot is already spent. Yusui, he's going deep. So is ThinkHard. They're trying to end this one now. They find Latman and force him all the way back. They get the kill. Baby Zeus in trouble. The Zanya's Hourglass only going to delay the inevitable. They do manage to take down ThinkHard, but this game could end right here, right now. Keith McBrief with the Monsoon. Flares taking the tower aggro. Yusui trying to finish up Hate. He gets the Mundo ultimate, but they can't finish him up, and the wave is going down. Will they be able to take a few towers on the back of this one, though? LoLPro is pushing towards the Nexus. They find Flares. Hate's gonna take him down. Hate's back in the picture. This could be trouble. Nonetheless, they're able to do all the work. They finally take down the Mundo. They finally follow up onto the Kha'Zix. Smithy is down. Daydreamin's the last man standing. Not for long. That's the ace, and that's gonna be the game. Game 1 going over to LoLPro. Well played.
Such an impressive performance. Just keeping their cool under the pressure of knowing that the enemy team is taking the Baron basically for free, and just ballsy plays all around, staying long enough in that bot lane to get that inhibitor turret, and then the call to keep Wiz Fusion in the mid lane when you have 5 Baroned up members heading up to the top lane. Just cool and confident play from LoLPro, and they're able to close that one out. And even the positioning around that last inhibitor turret at the end, they just gave XDG no breathing room once they took that advantage with those 2 inhibitors. Just very well played. I mean, you have to give it to XDG as well. They kept themselves in the game. That Baron was played really well. They got the vision control around it. They kept him off of it. But I mean, that reaction from LoLPro was just risky plays, but all paid